Good morning, Arsenal fans. Breaking news, but a quick question. Do you think Ethan Nwaneri deserves more first team football? Do you think he should play first team football on a more regular basis? That being said, the Fabrizio Romanos, the David Ornsteins, and every other credible journalist or just journalist are reporting that Marseille are working on a loan deal for Ethan Nwaneri. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. We all knew he would struggle for football. We all know he's a talented lad. We all know all of that kind of stuff, people. But for me, I told you, look, if it's not going to be a Premier League loan, don't undercut France or French football for a young player. The first thing I will say on the loan or just on French football, whether players that are, French, come through the French system, or players from all the four corners of the world find themselves playing in France, people discount how physically demanding the French league is. Obviously, they say that about the Premier League. Now, there's many ways of quantifying physicality. It's winning your duels, all of that stuff, but it could also be the end-to-end nature and how much the game takes out of you, all the running and all of that kind of stuff, people. And I said that could be a good angle for Ethan Nwaneri. So if it's not going to be a Prem loan, because apparently there's some Italian clubs and German clubs have been linked, I'm all for that. On top of that, he just needs to ask William Saliba if he doesn't know. Marseille is one of the bigger teams in France. They're playing in Europe. They've got a very good tactical manager like De Zerbi, where, he's very peculiar about the way he works and very demanding. And he's also got a good record with young players and developing talents in a similar way to Mikel Arteta. So that's obviously two positives. Marseille's fans are demanding. You don't win over there, they're on to you. That's obviously what you're going to get at a big club like Arsenal and any others that Nwaneri would end up in his career. You have to do your thing. They're challenging in Europe. They're probably trying to do whatever they're doing in France. So as much as they'll give him some time to get up to speed and he's young and all of that, you're just a player out there. You're just a player that's bagged against City, played, been in Arsenal's first team. There's an element of expectations. And the main thing is game time. Obviously, minutes are currency. He needs to go and get minutes. Eze's struggling for minutes. Nwaneri don't have a snowball's chance. Don't understand why he can't get an opportunity off the right. But I believe off the right, let alone Saka, Dalman is ahead of him. We just spent 50 million on Madueke. I'm not saying these things are right or wrong. I personally think Nwaneri should be getting more first team football in some capacity, or slightly more, if I'm completely honest. I feel in a system that's quite scripted, Nwaneri goes off that. But it is what it is type of thing. And where you look at central midfield, obviously they're all different sorts of midfielders. Eze and Odegaard are direct competition. Marino obviously comes on in that role a lot more than Nwaneri. Then you look at the Kai Havertzes, the Norgards, the Zubamendis, the Rices, different squad rankings, but they're all central midfielders that are more vital to Mikel Arteta at this moment in time. I understand keeping Nwaneri as a body, but minutes are currency. If you can go and play 15, 20 plus games, get some significant minutes, try and get that consistency, get that game time, get that confidence, and then come back next season. Bobby's your uncle. But let me know your thoughts, people, because I'm actually quite positive about this. I just hope that thing doesn't happen where, a man goes out on loan that could be playing in certain roles, there's injuries, and it gets dark. And then, as we all know, it's easiest at this moment to leave out Dalman, Nwaneri, and Miles Lewis-Skelly. They're the youngest in the side, rightly or wrongly. Just happy he signed a new deal. Obviously, for the vast majority of the season, he's been played a bit part role. He's been on the bench and things of that ilk, people. But as you're starting to see, as soon as people start coming back to fitness, he's going to be left out the side. The only one that's guaranteed a place in the squad, obviously let's not focus on the starting 11, is obviously Kepa, really, because Tommy Setford's not going to get in ahead of him. Arteta has to find that balance of X amount of defenders and attackers and this one and that one on the bench. Nwaneri don't feature in that, man. So again, smash the like button and let me know your thoughts, and let's see exactly what's being said. As you can see, Fabrizio Romano has said Marseille are in active talks to sign Ethan Nwaneri on loan from Arsenal. Club-to-club talks started, as David Ornstein reported, with Arsenal considering options after calls from Italy and Crystal Palace as well. For me, it's a Marseille thing. De Zerbi's record speaks for itself with young talent. Arteta plays a complicated system. De Zerbi's a tinker man and all of that. They're in the Champions League. I don't know how far that's going to go, but they're in the Champions League and they're trying to do whatever they're doing domestically. So tactically, it makes sense. The manager makes sense in terms of your football education beyond minutes, playing for one of them kind of managers. Obviously, you got one at Arsenal when you return. That makes sense. It just makes a lot of sense. Italy, wonderful country, big clubs, all of that, but not really trying to hear it. I feel the level of defending has dropped. And Nwaneri is going to have to win a lot of duels and stuff like you do in the Prem. I feel the caliber of defending in Italy is spooky. I feel a lot of players that are towards the end of their careers or, were flops at other teams in other divisions, they go there and they start getting excited. So I'm not really sure in it. Although there's many ex-Arsenal players who have found luck in Italy. You know, you look at Brook Norton Coffey, went Genoa, apologies, where we undersold him. He's being linked with a move to the Premier League for 20 odd million. You've got Daniel Ayoke over there. There's a couple of other stories in that regards. Crystal Palace is romantic, innit? I know he's technically a North Londoner, like a proper North London, like he's from North London, not South, like half the time when our club started. But, you know, Crystal Palace, there's that romance with the Arsenal Crystal Palace links. Eze's provided, there's a spot there for him. Obviously, Crystal Palace have a record. He couldn't make it at Chelsea. He's now gone to City. Elise, Eze, the Wharton's coming. They know where to find these gems and give them a platform and platform the talents. For Nwaneri, obviously, if he went to Crystal Palace, that's Premier League football. There's question marks over the manager's future. Mateta's being linked with a move away. In 2 windows now, they've lost their captain in Gurhi and the star man in Eze. So that could present an opportunity. The conditions or the sentiment around the club isn't necessarily right, but that's the reality of being a footballer and Premier League football. So I wouldn't be against Crystal Palace. Respectfully to West Ham, to see Crystal Palace linked and Marseille linked, that's a lot better than the West Ham links, if I'm honest. I don't feel West Ham's the right place for him. I really feel De Zerbi, what he'll demand of you on the ball, off the ball, in terms of certain phases of play. You'll probably play different formations and different positions. I think it makes too much sense, man, for Nwaneri. And if I was in his camp, I'd be pushing for this, man. I know we're trying to win a league and I'd love him to be there, but hopefully, we win many a trophy. And Nwaneri's 19, man. Minutes are currency, man. Sometimes players don't make it back from loan. And unfortunately, I don't want to say this because I don't necessarily believe it, but if he goes on loan and shells it, and they might extend it at Marseille, he might not make it at Arsenal, but the club might make a significant profit on the man. Their official bid to Arsenal for Nwaneri's loan until June, no buy option clause, salary covered. And even if Lyon want to get involved, because you lost Ryan Cherky, obviously you've brought in a loan in Endrick from Real Madrid. So yeah, and the club might be looking at it. A player that's not going to play at Arsenal, his wages could be covered. There's no buy clause and a loan fee of 3 million euros. They'll probably have that. But based on player appearances and as Nwaneri wants regular game time, Arsenal are open to discuss terms with negotiations underway. So it seems like our position on that has changed. De Zerbi has held positive talks with Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta and Nwaneri, with the Italian and his style of play a prominent factor in the Ligue side being favoured by their Premier League counterparts, said Ornstein people. So yeah, it makes sense in my opinion to go and do that. So yeah, they're working on a loan for the rest of the season. Any agreement would include a fee that's changeable depending on appearances, no buy option, and a positive conversation has been held. A decision from the players expected. Does he want to stay or does he want to go? Now for Nwaneri, let's be real, there's got to be, it's not just a football thing. It's not just a football decision to make, people, if I'm completely honest with you. You got to remember, this is an 18, 19-year-old lad, who's going to have to go. I'm sure, his family will surround him, but you're going to be by yourself in the country. You don't understand the language, a new country, it's unfamiliar surroundings. These are things that help you grow in life. But I could also understand if he says, I don't want to do that mid-season, because as much as I like Nwaneri, you're already on the back foot. De Zerbi's foot, obviously you're a footballer, you're fit. The Premier League demands that, but right now you've not been exposed to significant minutes, so it's not that you're lacking fitness, but you probably, if you were to start today and then tomorrow and then the next game on Saturday, you probably start wheezing after the hour mark and all of those things. So you've got to hit the ground running. They don't care that you're young Ethan Nwaneri, you're an Arsenal player. They're trying to do whatever they're trying to do this season. So there's that ilk. It makes sense, man. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Even if the loan don't work out, you're going to get more minutes than you would have got here, people. At the time, Nwaneri signed a new long-term contract last August, Arsenal were not expected to proceed with a deal for Eze. The decision to sign Eze, sparked by the injury to Kai Havertz, has had a direct impact on Nwaneri's playing time. Of course it has, people, and Eze struggled for football. I mean, the news, well, all them kind of guys like the Athletic, Ornstein, Romano, the language around why we signed Eze changes a lot, because first it was, yeah, the injury to Kai's forced the boat out a bit. Then it was we was always trying to get that one done. Now it's kind of gone back to that. But 100%, this is the case, people. If we're looking at direct central positions, it's crowded at this moment in time. Mikel Arteta remains a firm believer in Nwaneri's talent. The issue is one of opportunity. For Arsenal alone would arguably be a win-win. Nwaneri develops and returns to them ready to challenge for a place. That is the goal of all involved. I mean, you would be, minutes are currency. Go serve your apprenticeship this year. Next season, you come back and you're genuinely a contender. I'm sure he is a believer in his talent. And it's not to say you don't believe. because at the end of the day, we're trying to win what we're winning. But you don't believe, you're not ready to throw your hat on him. Give him some minutes left wing, right wing, centrally, whatever have you. I've said this on my videos a lot of the time that I do think, rightly or wrongly, slightly out of context, Nwaneri's at the point where the gaffer would have to say, you know what, you've got 5-10 games you're going to start here, regardless of what happens and what I'm trying to do with getting over the line. That's what normally happens. You've got 5-10 games. If you don't worry individually what you've done in those individual games, but come the end of game week 5 or game week 10, I need a medium of performance, because it's a bit sad in that you need an opportunity. You need to get an opportunity to take it, but I think that's where he's at. And I think one thing that goes against the young players, let's just say, you see how I said the 5-10 game example, right, with Nwaneri. Let's just say, I don't know why I'm thinking of him, but Kai Havertz or Norgard, for those 5-10 games, they might give the manager 6s, like an average of 6 out of 10. Not amazing, not bad, but there's a level of consistency. Nwaneri, first 2 weeks, it might be -3 out of 10. Then the next 3 weeks, you're playing 20 out of 10. Then you're kind of flat. Now, these are not concerns of Nwaneri, or for Nwaneri, I should say. This is what young players are at, like this is anything he's struggling in or anything that's happened is where you expect Nwaneri to be at, because that's his stage of his development. So it'd be interesting, man. So yeah, you could argue, if you really believed in that at this moment in time, you give an opportunity. Obviously, Smith Rowe's been out on loan and came back and worked out. Sometimes some young players don't make it back from loans, man, which I don't think will be the case. Completely off topic, but Arsenal are not currently aggressively pursuing anything in this window and are in the process of drawing up plans for the summer. One player who may feature on their radar is Victor Valpendes, with Arsenal considering trying to tempt him away from Real Madrid. We have been consistently linked with him, people. Zinchenko is putting the final touches on a move to Ajax on loan, and I saw did you lot see that Jesus said, I want to sign a new deal at Arsenal? I mean, when you're on 260 odd grand a week, I think Berta's looking at that and thinking we could spend that elsewhere. So yeah, first team football has been limited at Arsenal. He's held positive talks with Marseille. He has made just 6 appearances, people, in the Premier League. Despite Arsenal competing on 4 fronts, the versatile midfielder has made just 12 appearances in all comps, scoring once in the League Cup. His 6 Premier League appearances have all come as a substitute, and he has made just 1 start in the Champions League. Obviously, Marseille are looking to get him on loan and take advantage in that. We've got no interest on letting him leave on a permanent basis. There's other clubs in Italy, but nobody's been specifically named. In August, after signing his new deal, it was earlier than August, it's in the summer. It means everything to me. I'm so happy to have it done. This is where I feel at home and where I'm going to develop the best. I'm ready. I'm very excited. I see this as my first real season and part of a proper squad in the changing room. I'm so excited for what I can bring to the team and how I can help the team. I'm a very versatile player, so I think I'm going to play anywhere across the front 5, and I'm ready to do what the manager needs. So he is right. I mean, if this is your first season as a proper professional in a long season and in a long career, it's calm. He is versatile. We've not been getting to see your versatility, if I'm honest with you. So I just don't think you're in the gaffer's plans, but we cheer on Nwaneri all the way. And when he goes on loan, we'll bring the loan watch reports back on this channel, man.